What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Voice Talks. My name is Voice of G, and today we are covering UFC 289. Amanda Nunes faced off with Irene Aldana, who was trying to become the third Mexican champion of the UFC behind Brandon Moreno and Alexa Grasso. And this was a fight that a lot of people maybe I think called underrated. If anything, some of these casual, hardcore MMA fans were saying that it shouldn't even be the main event. I heard a lot of lead up, a lot of talk leading up to this fight. A lot of these casual MMA fans were saying that the co-main should have been the main event. And you know what? At the end of the day, you had Amanda Nunes, who's been dominating for over like 10 years now in the game, and claims another title or defends another title against Irene Aldana, and just completely dominated with a unanimous decision win. And it just shows there's just levels to the game. We got to see a GOAT not only dominate, not only win and defend her belt, but retire. And that was a little emotional, at least for me. I've been following Amanda Nunes since she got started in the UFC, and she's one of the greatest fighters of all time, in my opinion, in the UFC, let alone obviously one of the great female fighters of all time in the UFC. And for her to put her gloves down, on the mat and retire and say that her mom had been asking her to do this for a long time. Of course, it reminds you of Khabib retiring, after he lost his dad, and his own mom was trying to, tell him like, hey, listen, you've really reached the top and you've earned as much money as possible. Like, what else could there possibly be more in your career? And she did it. She did it all. And really congratulations to Amanda Nunes, who retires with a record of 23-5. I mean, nobody can dispute that. One of the greatest fighters of all time. As far as Irene Aldana, I think she will very much regret her performance. I haven't seen the post-fight interviews just yet, but I'm pretty sure that she'll look back on and say, "Hey, man, I didn't that fourth round, that fifth round, my output was really low, and I could have done better." So that was a little bit disappointing on her side, but I'm sure she'll be back. She has a 14-7 record, which isn't. It's not the worst thing in the world if you are Irene Aldana, the GOAT, just left the division. Maybe she has a chance to string, two or three fights through, two or three W's together, and get back in that championship level. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead to the co-main event of the evening. This was the fight that I really wanted to see. I wouldn't call it the main event. I didn't want to disrespect the main event, but the co-main was going to be a banger for me. I thought it would go all 3 rounds, and Beneil would come through and win by split decision. I thought this was going to be a banger in terms of striking, in terms of the ground game. A lot of scrambling, possibly back and forth between both guys, like Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. That kind of fight where you're going to see guys get rocked and have to come up and just take deep breaths, especially on the ground, and find a way to win. Well, this did not go entirely as I planned it, entirely as I called it, and Charles Oliveira knocks out Beneil Dariush. Not out cold, but just does enough to get the TKO victory, and shows why he's just so dangerous overall. I mean, he's got the most submissions in UFC history, submission wins in UFC history. But he shows you why he's so dangerous and why he's always going to be a contender in the lightweight division, because he can hit you with elbows, he can mix up his punches and just finish the job. He's one of the best finishers in the game, in the stand-up. And if you're caught early and you're not able to recover, you could be out real soon, just like Beneil Dariush was. And Beneil now has a 22-5-1 record. I think he's still in the mix. Definitely top 4, definitely top 5 in the division. So I think that if he gets 2 or 3 wins, hey, he could be here and that trying to get that number 1 contender spot again. But Charles Oliveira, book it. Later this year, I definitely want to see Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev in the lightweight division put that belt on the line. They've already exchanged words on Twitter, so that's really exciting because that puts more eyeballs, more pressure on it, more pressure on Dana to make that fight happen. And Islam basically said there's levels to this game. I'm really happy for you. You were crying, cage side after the victory, but there's levels to this thing. And Islam, I'm sure, will show once again why he deserves to be champion. But Charles Oliveira is coming back for revenge. So guys, I think this has been a great episode. Things are happening next month. There's gonna be more action coming from the UFC. Definitely expect a lot more voice talks. But there you have it. Amanda Nunes dominates in 5 rounds, defends her bantamweight title, and goes out on top, retiring from the game. And Charles Oliveira knocks out his opponent to win big and put himself possibly in the number 1 contender spot in the lightweight division. I'll see you guys next time. And be sure to follow us at Plug Talk Sports. We have a sports podcast every Monday on Twitter and YouTube as well. Tune in to the next episode on Monday. It's going to be a banger. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.